Leo in the sun sign, right at home.
Please pause. Please pause.
What?
We're gonna have to cut this out because my could you just go, honey? My husband crawled along the floor behind me to get to the front.
Oh my god. Carlos, please.
All of a sudden I see him crawling over my shoulder and I just like lean. Okay. We'll have to cut this out.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So
if you're positive, you better bless this space. If you are negative, you better get up out our face. If you are positive, you better bless my space. If you are negative, you better get up out our face. If you are positive, you better bless our face. If you are negative, you better get up out our faces. I messed up that whole line, just for the record.
Do you want to do it again?
The power is, no, the power is still there. I think it actually makes it better. Yay. Oh wait, here, I have this.
I don't know what my bell is, as per usual.
I have some leftover smoke here. Here you go. Cleansing.
Hooray. Welcome back to another episode of Witches and Weebs Spiritual Saturday. Woo!
Woo! Okay, let's admit that we had some issues during December that were unseen and unplanned, to say the least. Somebody's computer decided to itself and had to get a new part. So I was out of computer for 2 weeks. I apologize for the thumbnails not getting done. I do the graphics, obviously. I do a lot of that kind of stuff. So some things were changed during my absence. But thank you, Mia, for handling them as best as she could.
Especially because I also had to leave for holiday, so there was basically all we had was our video editor. Shout out to her, because those videos would not have been uploaded if it was just me and Faith.
Yeah, no, we would have been shit out of luck.
Out of luck. But,
thank God that she was here for us, because we would have there would have been nothing happening for those 2 weeks. I'm so sorry. But we are back and we're gonna be better than ever. We have lots of plans.
Also, I am Azauri, and I have a cold.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Space, and I went on a tangent because I felt bad. The guilt was eating me alive.
So we have a super cool episode today that I'm going to be leading because I love astrology. Yay!
Yay! I'm so excited.
This episode is called Astrology Matters, but not in the way you think.
I have a notebook out. And lucky for me, I have, like, words in front of me.
So, let's just dive into basic astrology. There are 12 zodiac signs, period. And these are defined as your sun sign. That's the sign that you get when you are born, because that's the day that you were born. You got your fire signs, your Aries, your Leos, your Sagittariuses, your fiery, passionate people who will literally go to the ends of the earth for what they believe in because for some reason they're martyrs, and they just want to watch the world burn. You've got your earth signs, your Taurus, your Virgo, your Capricorn, who are normally more down to earth and in tune with themselves as people, but are also very stubborn and bullheaded.
Oh, yeah. That's my husband.
You've got your air signs, your Gemini, your Libra, your Capricorn. Those are people who tend to or not Capricorn, I'm so sorry. Aquarius. You've got your Gemini, your Libra, and your Aquarius.
I just noticed the notes are wrong. I was like, did she say Capricorn twice?
Yeah, I meant to say you're an Aquarius. I'm sick. Leave me alone. Give me some grace. But those are the more signs who tend to either overthink or just have some really good brain worms, because air is for intellect. And then you've got your super emotional baby water signs, your Cancer, your Scorpio, and your Pisces, who are more emotionally in tune, but also kind of lose their emotional tuning because the waves just get too big for them to, surf.
I mean, like, this is how I think about it. Look at the ocean. Like, that is the king of the water. It can be calm one day and it can be a destroyer the next. So that's how you have to look at water signs. They are deep and they run deep and they have a lot of emotions.
Yes, they do.
And most of the time, they're pretty fucking calm and chill and like to hang out. But every so often, you just get a stormy day.
Yep. So if you're Cancer or you're Scorpio or you're Pisces is just feeling really bad, it's a bad emotional day. And if they're feeling really happy, it's a good emotional day.
Dude, surfing the waves on a fucking good emotional day.
But and that's what people identify themselves with. They identify themselves with their sun sign. However, there has been a resurgence of the big three now, which is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign, which you can find on a birth chart from various different apps on your phone or even some websites. As long as you know what day you were born, the time you were born, and the location that you were born, you can find any of these
Just
chart
get your
websites.
Your mother has your birth certificate if you have contact with her. I'm sorry if you don't, but you can also pay the state that you were born at. It's like $25. I've had to do it a couple times.
Yeah, mom, dad, guardian, whoever watched over you when you were born. So that's cool. Each sign has a zodiac planet that they rule over. So you've got your sun sign, Leo, which is indicative of your ego, individuality, and your confidence, which is your whole self. You've got your moon, which is ruled by Cancer, that affects your emotions, your habits. You've got Mercury, that's ruled by Gemini and Virgo, that works with communication and your thought process and how you perceive things and how you deal with things. Your Venus, which is ruled by Taurus and Libra, which is love, obviously, money, powers of attraction. Mars, which is ruled by Aries, which makes sense because I think Mars was like the planet of war or something. I'm probably spreading misinformation, but see, notice how most Aries signs are very fiery, very stubborn, and always want to fight, because if they are offended about something, they will make it everybody else's problem, which is also funny because it is also associated with energy, initiative, and temper. Hello. I just said that.
I have a thought to when we get to a certain planet now, because just keep going.
We've got Jupiter, which is ruled by Sagittarius, which is good fortune and expansion. You've got Saturn, ruled by Capricorn, which is restriction, responsibility, and life lessons. Uranus, which is ruled by Aquarius, that represents independence and eccentricity. Neptune, which is ruled by Pisces, and that is also indicative of vision, creativity, and illusion. And then you've got Pluto, which is ruled by Scorpio, which is transformation and major change, which is also why Scorpios who have Pluto and, Scorpio are very good at change. They're good with change. They adapt to change. And it's just very easy for them to, get with the times if your Scorpio is in Pluto.
So I have a couple of things. Now, for one, some of these planets have two rulers because ancient times would be Aquarius was also ruled by Saturn. Pisces was also ruled by Jupiter. And Scorpio was also ruled by Mars. So if you know that a Scorpio, this is why Scorpios are kind of known as the fiery water, like why is it spicy meme? That's a Scorpio. It's like flavored fire water.
That sounds awful.
It kind of is in a way because we have so much emotion and so much passion and so much. We are more of the storm than we are of the calm. But I also want to think about how Pluto, in our generation, transformed from a planet to not a planet. I still think Pluto fits.
Pluto is doing what Pluto does.
Transforming. And I'm sure in a couple generations, Pluto might transform back into a planet. For all we know.
So what's not mentioned here, because it's not a planet, is your ascension sign. And that's actually part of a house, not the planet. So that's your rising sign. That's how you are physically. That is what people think of you when they meet you.
Can I isn't the rising figured out from when the sun rises on your birthday?
Yep, I think it is complete opposite on the chart of where your sign is, and it's the first house of where your sign is.
Okay, yeah.
So it would be like Leo, Virgo, directly across from each other.
So I think that's how it works out, but I'm not sure.
But your rising sign is how people view you as opposed to how you view yourself. We're going to get into that a little later. So we're just going to talk about the planets right now. I've already talked about each planet ruled by what, but I'm going to give some examples and more of a better description of how these planets affect your zodiac sign.
So I want to say for everybody that right now is like, well, I don't feel like my sun sign. We're about to break down into why, because you have all of these planets in your chart in different places. So they all affect you in different ways. You'll start to see why you don't feel like your sun sign 95% of the time.
And that is why astrology matters, but not the way that you think it does.
Exactly.
Boom. All right, so these are inner planets, day-to-day personal traits, immediate influences. So the sun, again, which is related to your identity, your ego, your life purpose, your vitality. It represents your central self, willpower, and how you shine in the world, and that's why it is your sun sign. So it affects things like your leadership, creativity, and your self-expression. So again, if you've got a really nice, quick, and dirty way to determine how these signs are coexisting with each other is, again, Leo, sun sign, at home, big egos, think that the world revolves around them, super creative, super self-expressive, and are natural leaders. So most Leos that you see think that they're the shit, and they believe that they're genuinely the shit. And then we'll go into something like a Cancer sign. So Cancer is ruled by, or the moon is ruled by Cancer, which means emotional and, basically emotional. That's the best way I can describe a Cancer.
It's like literally just all emotions, like everything that has to do with emotions. That's why Cancers are considered emotional, just because they deal with their emotions. Like the rest of us are in the wrong.
They think with their emotions, they do with their emotions, they everything with emotions. So that's why most Cancers who are a sun Cancer do things less logically and more emotionally. And that's just what the sun is. The sun is your purpose, your ego, how you perceive things and how you perceive yourself. So now we're going to go into the moon, which, is affected by or effective with emotions, your intuition, your subconscious. It governs your feelings, your inner world, your instincts, and it reveals how you nurture and feel secure, which is why most Cancers, this planet the planet ruled by Cancer, most Cancers are motherly. They like to do mother things. They like to make you feel at home. They like to make you feel like you belong. They help you with your emotions. And they're just very comforting to, just vent to or talk to. But again, if you've got a double moon sign, sun sign, Cancer,
lots of emotions.
Lots of emotion. As opposed to, let's say, like a Virgo or a Gemini that rules Mercury, they're more inclined to think about their emotions and think about their intuition and subconscious before they actually take action to do something about it.
This is also a lot of communication and talking. So if you have a sign like Sagittarius Mercury, you talk first and think later.
And then say you've got a Taurus or a Libra that rules Venus. They do things emotionally with love. Everything that they do with reactions or comfort zones or instincts are all love. So that's pretty cool. It's just taking the planet, taking the sign that rules the planet and the keywords and kind of just slapping it into that planet. Moving on to Mercury, which represents communication, intellect, and logic. Yeah, so moving on to Mercury, which is representative of communication, intellect, and logic. Excuse me. It governs how you think, how you express yourself, how you process information, influences learning and relationships.
I should have my birth chart out while I'm doing this.
Their whole thing is like curiosity, adaptability, and analysis. So Mercury is just like how you think and how you communicate. It's the planet of logic. So Cancer and Mercury, they think emotionally. Their logic comes from emotion. Whereas in Aries, their communication comes from their temper. Their intellect comes from their temper, their leadership. And again, that's why they are so bullheaded. So, okay, cool. You've got a Cancer sun who's emotional, and then you've got an Aries Mercury. So if you put that together, you've just got a very emotionally explosive, somewhat volatile person that would be very hard to get through to until they learn how to simmer down. And this is why having so many different signs spread out on your birth chart makes so many different aspects of your personality.
It changes everything. You're not just your sun sign. You're literally every 9 planets and 12 houses.
And we're gonna talk about more of the essential dignities later, which also governs how certain signs in certain planets affect that growth of that planet. So moving on to Venus. Venus is all about love and beauty and values. It represents how you relate to others, what you find beautiful in your approach to relationships and pleasure. An example energy of it is harmony, romance, and indulgence. So Venus is all about love, beauty, and Taurus and Libra at home in Venus. You just love. You're a big love. You want everything to be harmonious, and you will play the diffuser. You do the damage control if that sign is at home. I'm not giving too many examples about these planets because I'm talking more about the planet itself rather than the effects that the zodiac sign has in that planet, because we're going to get into that later. Mars is the planet of action, desire, and drive. It governs ambition and courage and how you assert yourself, shows your approach to conflict and passion, motivation, determination, and sexual energy. It's a masculine planet, but whatever. So Mars, ruled by Aries, temper, initiative, energy. It just, again, we're gonna talk about it later. But if you take a sign,
it's me putting things together in my own head and just being like, oh, that's why you act like that, bitch.
Right. Like, if you know someone's birth chart, you can understand their personality to the T, because you understand, okay, this zodiac sign is being affected by this planet. And then you add essential dignities into it, and then you discover, oh. And that's why you might feel stagnant here, but then you feel like you flourish in other aspects. So again, these are all inner planets, interpersonal planets. Moving on to social planets, you've got Jupiter. And they move more slowly and reflect broad patterns in relationships and life development. So Jupiter is like expansion, growth, and luck. It represents your optimism, your wisdom, and your opportunities. It governs long-term goals, learning, and belief systems, and is more represented by like your generosity, your abundance, and your explanation. So it's like just less curious and more like, pathfinding. You're trying to find your place. You're trying to figure out what you want to do in life. You're trying to figure out what you believe in, and that is part of how you are growing as a person. And then we're moving on to Saturn, which represents discipline, responsibility, and structure, governs boundaries, challenges, and life lessons, teaches patience, resilience through trials, and represents ambition, restriction, and perseverance. So Saturn is basically how you draw your boundaries, what you use to draw your boundaries. Saturn is ruled by Capricorn. So if your Capricorn is at home, then you are very good at making your boundaries responsible enough to where you won't have anybody basically trying to intrude in on your bubble, and you are able to reiterate, hey, this is the line that I drew, therefore you need to respect it, or you and I just simply won't vibe together. So, if your fucking Capricorn is in Saturn, I love that for you, because you know how to draw the line and you know how to, you know, reinforce that. So now moving on to outer planets. These move very slowly, influencing generational and collective themes as well as individual spiritual growth. You've got Uranus, which is good for innovation, rebellion, and your individuality. It governs sudden change, originality, and breakthroughs, and represent how you express your uniqueness, which is related to eccentricity, freedom, and revolution. Uranus ruled by Aquarius. Those are just the free birds. If you've got your Aquarius at home, you're a free bird. You know that you want to break this wall and build it from the ground up. You know that you want to break this generational trauma or generational curse that is in your family. So you are now the new blueprint, because you have forsaken all of that nasty generational stuff that you don't want anymore, and you are now building a new and better foundation for your future family lineage. You've got Neptune, that represents dream, spirituality, and illusion. It governs imagination, intuition, idealism, and can also reveal where you may experience confusion or escapism. Creativity, mysticism, and compassion. So Neptune, ruled by Pisces. If this is at home, then you know you kind of are just very blissful. You are like head empty, fever dreaming.
Hey! Fuck you.
Head empty, fever dreaming. You're thinking about the best case scenario, but it's highly unrealistic. So just that, and I think, that's part of. I think my Pisces is my. I don't remember where my Pisces is, but again, you just kind of you want to think the best of everything. And
boo boo.
It's very hard to break. It's very hard to break out of that bubble because it's the comfort bubble. This is where everything is in my head, and this is how everything should be. And if this is not how everything should be, then I'm not happy about it. That is having your Aries, or not Aries, that is having your Aquarius at home in Uranus.
I thought we were talking about Neptune.
Not Uranus, Neptune, my bad.
Your Pisces and Neptune, or wait, what?
Neptune. I'm sick. Leave me alone. But yes. They're big thinkers, big dreamers, super, super big dreamers. Very good for mysticism and occult things, though. And then you've got your Pluto, your Scorpio, transformation, power, rebirth. It governs deep change, empowerment, and uncovering hidden truths. It represents the cycles of death and renewal, and some energies with it are intensity, evolution, regeneration. If you have a Scorpio in Pluto, you are good at adapting. You are good at change. You are good at accepting that this cannot be how it always is. And so I can't always accept that that's how it's going to be. Therefore, I need to change myself with the times. And people with Scorpio and Pluto are very receptive to that because it's at home. You know that you need to change. Do you want to? Probably not, but you know that it's for the best. Because if you don't and you want to stay stationary in this thing when times are changing, you're going to be left behind. And you don't want to be left behind. You want to keep growing. You want to keep evolving. That's what Scorpios and Pluto do. They keep going, they keep evolving, and they want to become better versions of themselves. So then you've got, like, those are the main planets. And then there's, like, Chiron, Lilith, Ceres, Pallas. There's a lot of new... What's up?
I was gonna say that some people nowadays have changed. They believe in modern astrology compared to ancient astrology, that some of the signs are controlled by these little fucking asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
Series for Taurus and shit. How do I pronounce it?
Which one?
C-H-I...
Chiron?
Chiron. Chiron. For Virgo. Of course, that's personal. You could either go by modern or go by ancient. I'm more of an ancient.
Yeah.
My modern standards, but
I'm more. This is more focused on the Placidus, which is more used in Western astrology because that's what I've studied. I haven't gone into the other types of astrology yet, but I do plan on it. But this is just the most known chart in where we are from.
And every type of astrology can be used for different things. Like, they all matter. It's just proven science. It's math. It's not anything that you can say is fake. Astrology is just a science. It's just a science of math that follows the stars. However, it depends on how you're using it and where you're using it, if it really works. So there's all kind of different, there's reasons that there's many different types of astrology out there, because there's many different functions of math.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're none of them. No one is better than the other. They just have different uses.
Yep. So then outside the planets, you've got things like your Chiron that represents your wounds and healing. So I'm just gonna use Leo as an example because I'm a Leo. But so if you have a Chiron in Leo, it represents your ego. You have a wounded ego. You have wounded pride. How can you grow from this? Well, dig deep inside of yourself. What makes you you? What makes you happy? Why do you feel what happened in the past that your ego is now wounded and you feel like you can never recover from it?
My mother didn't love me.
And then you start working on that. This is why I emphasize on astrology so much, because it can help you shadow work. I've said this before. Astrology and birth charts are such a great way for shadow working.
I love the fact that she was like, I'm going to pick Leo because I'm a Leo. And I'm like, she knows that my Leo is in. Just read me to filth, why don't you?
You've got your North Node and your South Node. Destiny and past life themes represents karmic lessons and the path forward in this life. I haven't done too much study on this, but it basically like helps. What was I like back then? Okay, cool. What can I be like now? How can I apply that thing to me now if it's something that's good? And then you've got your ascendant, which is your rising sign, opposite of your sun sign on your birth chart. That is how people view you. That is how people have their first impression of you. This is your mask. This is how you approach people, rather than, oh my God, I'm silly and I know I'm silly. However, these people don't know me and I don't want them to see that I'm silly and be turned off from me. So I'm just gonna act like this. You basically act like your ascendant sign until you're ready to act like your sun sign. But even then, aspects of your ascendant sign will still shine through.
Always. It's always gonna be, there's so many different elements of astrology that it's always gonna mess with the perception of your sun sign. This is why a lot of people just are like, astrology is bullshit because I don't feel like my sun sign.
Well, you're not supposed to only feel like your sun sign.
Yeah, it's like, no shit, Sherlock. You just don't know astrology.
And then there's Lilith. Lilith is indicative of how you express things in general. It's not the same as communication like with Mercury. It's something completely different. It's your power and independence, your repressed or taboo desires, your feminine energy and your sexuality, and shadow working. Lilith is the dark aspect of yourself. What is too much of this in your Lilith and why you need to work on it so it does not completely overpower you as a person? So Leo as an example. Ego. You are too egotistical in this world. You are past confidence and you think you know everything, and everything that you say is the end all be all. You want everyone to praise you. You want everyone to build you a statue in your honor. You just want people to perceive you like you have never been perceived before, so you can just whip them into shape in how you feel they should be in your ideal world.
Damn, a Leo Lilith sounds dangerous. God damn.
Then there's Ceres, nurturing, caregiving, abundance, loss, and self-care. It represents how you give and receive care, your approach to nurturing others and yourself, and your relationships with food, health, and the earth. It also highlights themes of motherhood, cycles of life, and dealing with loss or separation. So it's just basically how you handle grief and what you need to be comfortable. So an example is a Ceres in Taurus. Nurtures through providing physical comfort, stability, or material abundance. Tauruses and Ceres love buying expensive things. I want those Louboutins. I want that Michael Kors bag. They are more reliant on material things because that's how Taurus, that rules Venus, which is love, money, and the powers of attraction.
Question.
So,
what would you say a Ceres in Sagittarius?
Sagittarius would probably be more of like expanding. So if you have a Ceres in Sagittarius, you want to expand what you already have and what you already know. You want to know more. You have like the desire to know more. Having this little bubble is not comforting for you. You need to have a bigger space to expand so you have more room to do what you want to do and learn what you want to learn.
Right. Okay, that tracks.
And there's like, if it's in the 4th house, it focuses on family and sources of nurturing and comfort. So yeah, if it's in your 4th house, you love your family. If it's in your 4th house where Taurus is and Ceres, I want to give my family the biggest house that they could possibly have. I want to give my husband or my wife or my partner all these material things because, you know, it might make them happy. I don't know that, but I just want to shower them. It's not necessarily love bombing because you're not doing it to keep them to yourself, but you're just doing it because that's how you like to give, like, that's how you show love. You show love by buying people things, and you're not offended if they say, hey, this is not something I want. You're like, oh, okay, then just buy it for yourself. That's basically, that's Ceres. And then there's Pallas, which is wisdom, strategy, creativity, intellect, and problem solving. Fun fact, named after Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom, it represents intellect, strategy, and creative problem solving. It also governs how you use your intelligence, your artistic skills, and intuition to navigate challenges. So, an example is Pallas in Aquarius. Innovation, forward thinking, excelling in unconventional ideas, and technology, because Aquariuses are eccentric. They rule Uranus, its independence and eccentricity. They think outside the box a lot. So they would come up with like the most insane things to do because it works for them. That's how it works. Okay, this one thing that I'm trying to think about logically is not working. What if I add a little spice and pizzazz to it? That's Aquarius and Pallas. Excuse me. And then you've got Juno, the partner, which is representative of commitment, marriage, partnerships, loyalty, and power dynamics. Represents long-term relationships, particularly marriage and partnerships. And it shows your expectation in a committed relationship, your approach to loyalty and equality, and where power dynamics play out. So it's a reflection of your ideal partner. What's up?
I read ahead in this, and my partner is a Capricorn, and my Juno is in Capricorn. So I was reading ahead, I went, I'm gonna talk to one Mr. Dude back there.
So an example is that if your Juno is in Libra, you value peace, harmony, you value fairness and balance and partnerships, and you're attracted to elegant and diplomatic partners because that's Libra, that's Venus. You like femininity, you like money, you like love, you like attracting what you want. So you would technically have a partner that likes to attract what they want. A partner that is secure, a partner that, again, knows exactly intellectually, materialistically, whatever, what they want. You like a solid person who can think strong. And if it's in like your 7th house, then partnerships and marriage are central to life, and it's a strong focus on collaboration. So you want a partner that you can work with instead of work against. And those are all like the additional points of the birth chart. So I hope that was helpful, because there's not many that really touch on those points. So I'm hoping to bring more awareness to them, because they're slept on and they bring a lot bigger aspects to people's personalities that they overlook. And if their chart doesn't make sense, it's probably because they're not looking at these other additional points on their chart. They're like, I've never seen this symbol before. It's not a planet. Why do I need to worry about it? Trust me.
That's the thing.
You need to worry about it.
Astrology is math, so everything matters. Like, everything in astrology matters. Everything.
So if you just see a random sign or a random node or a random point pop out of nowhere in your birth chart, look it up.
That's so funny about the Juno, though. I can't believe I married my ideal partner. Yeah,
so now we have essential dignities. There are 4 main essential dignities. There are plenty more, but I'm focusing on the main 4 that most people have seen on the internet or somewhere. It's dependent on if it's strong or weak to that planet, and it can either be dignified or debilitated, which is strong or weakened respectively, depending on the relationship to the sign that it occupies. And it is a system that helps astrologers interpret how effective a planet's energy can manifest in a chart. So sun signs, rulership is Leo. Again, Leo's right at home. Exaltation, a sun sign in Aries. Okay, it's not as strong as Leo being at home, but Aries are also still more confident people. So I'm gonna talk about the rulership first with each sign. So it's like, okay, what about Aquarius? Aquarius is considered detriment to a sun sign, which means that it's the complete opposite of the rulership. It's kind of where it feels directly out of place, and it struggles to express their natural qualities. So an Aquarius sun sign can be very timid. They can be very timid. They're not really blunt. They're not one of a person that wants to show themselves as a person. They kind of just struggle. They struggle with their personality a little bit, because they're not sure what they want to be or who they want to be or what their purpose might be. They're kind of just living in the moment, and they're okay with it. But that's also how you learn how to become more confident as an Aquarius. You know, okay, well, why don't I feel confident? Your sign is detriment in the sun. So what should I do? Be more confident. Just don't second guess yourself. Don't doubt the person that you are, but also don't change yourself to where you feel like you have to match these standards that people have when it comes to a personality. And then there's the fall sign, which is a planet that is opposite of the exaltation, which is basically another version of detriment. So Libras kind of give off the energy where they don't necessarily know how to adapt in certain situations. TLDR, Libra suns find it very hard to read the room. So if you have if you have a Libra sun, chances are they find it very difficult to read the room, or they're kind of trying to make the energy in the room, and they come off as either very dull or very like know-it-all-y. or they kind of just come off as people who are not very confident, but they're trying to fake it till you make it. So I'm gonna talk more about the rulerships and the exaltations and detriments before giving more examples, or I'll just give an example in each. So rulership is where a sign is at home, where it naturally rules. The planet operates at full strength, fully expressing its qualities and confidently and effectively, and it feels comfortable and aligned with the energy of the sign. Again, which is why Leos are very confident. Leos are boisterous. Leos are loud because they're at home. That's what they do. People find it very overwhelming, and they're like, shit, well, I don't want to dim my light for somebody else, but it also proves a problem because they're so at home, they think that they know everything, and everyone's just like, can you please tone it down a little bit? We get it. You love yourself. We get it. You've got a big ego, but we don't really want to deal with that all the time. So, let's say, Venus. Venus is ruled by Libra, and so it promotes harmonious relationships and an aesthetic sensibility with ease. So, again, like I was saying this earlier, when the signs are at home, they are literally at home. They get the best qualities of that trait. Whereas if it's in the fall, they get the worst qualities of that trait. Now, it's not necessarily like, okay, well, you're doing bad. This is awful. But also notice how Pluto is not mentioned in any of these, because Pluto is always changing. Pluto is not stagnant. There is no way that a person with a specific sun sign cannot transform. Yes, it is at home in Scorpio, so Scorpios are the best at transformation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any other sign is not as good as transforming as a Scorpio is. Okay, so like I was saying, Venus in a Libra promotes harmonious relationships and aesthetic sensibilities with ease, which means that, a Libra in Venus is just very comforting. They like to play the mediator, and they just want everything to be at peace. Then you have exaltation, a planet in a sign where its energy is elevated and honored. It's not necessarily at home, but it's knocking on the door. It wants to come inside. It functions powerfully and expresses its beliefs or its best traits, often in a refined or idealized way, but it might be more situational than domicile. So an example, a moon in Taurus, which is an exalted sign, enhances emotional stability, nurturing qualities, and the comfort of love. So a Taurus moon will be loving, just as loving as a Cancer is, just as nurturing as a Cancer is. And you wouldn't think so because they're so fucking bullheaded and stubborn. But a Taurus moon is a very lovable person, and they'll make sure that, have you eaten today? Have you gotten enough sleep today? Are you sick? Have you taken your medicine today? That is what a Taurus moon would be like. So detriments are planets in the opposite of the rulership, where it's weakened or it feels out of place, and it struggles to express its natural qualities that lead to challenges or inefficiencies, and it requires conscious effort to work through effectively. So Mars in Libra may lead to indecision or difficulty asserting yourself in conflicts, because most Libras are not confrontational, which is kind of funny because most Libras are passive aggressive. And that's where the detriment comes in. They're passive aggressive, but they're also like, okay, well, I don't want to get into this argument. What should I do? I've started a problem that I don't know how I can solve. So now they have to think more than, let's say, a Capricorn or an Aries or a Scorpio would have to, because they're not as in tune with that planet as those other signs are. So, Libras and Taurus have the same issue, as well as Cancers having the same issue, which is why Cancers are either very, very passive after they start a problem, because everything comes from them emotionally. I'm acting out because of my emotions. Now I'm not sure what to do because I can't take back what I said. So now I have to stick with it, and I don't want to think about it because now it's making me feel emotionally vulnerable, and now I feel like shit, and now I'm embarrassed because I don't want to own up to what I did or what I said. And that's why most detriment and fall signs have to consciously think about the things that they do in terms of that planet, so it makes more sense. And then you've got fall, which is the opposite of exaltation, where it's diminished or restricted the energy. It operates with difficulty, often expressing its least favorable traits. It requires growth and adaptation to function well. So a sun in Libra may lead to challenges in self-confidence, this is what I was saying before, or balancing personal identity with the need of others. Sun Libras always put other people before themselves. They don't care about themselves, and they need to establish the boundary like, okay, I need to do more things for me. I'm always doing things for other people, but I need to do things for me, which is very true because I know a few Libras who like to put everybody else above themselves. And I'm like, okay, but what do you think? How do you feel? What do you think about this? Which is also another example would be Mercury, the planet of communication in Pisces. Pisces don't know how to communicate well. Pisces will like to overthink everything. Pisces will say something less than favorable and then retract it. And so then they're like, okay, well, I already did it. There's no point in me going back and, trying to fix this error because I already did it. I said what I said, I did what I did. And that's where the growth comes in, because you as a Pisces in Mercury have to sit and actually think about where you went wrong and why you went wrong, and then have to apologize for it. Don't be stubborn, don't be bullheaded. So
that's a lot of people though. That is a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's why essential dignities are also very important, because it's like, well, this sign is indicative of this, but how come it doesn't feel like that? Well, it's because the energy hasn't been awakened there. That's why shadow working is important. That's why self-reflection is important, because once you understand where you struggle in certain planets, you can work on them to become a better person. And then you've got your lovely houses. There are 12 houses, and yes,
I wanted to say something because I'm doing my chart here right now as you're explaining all this. I have 2 planets in detriment and 1 planet in fall, and I have 2 planets in rulership. So not every planet is gonna have like a fall or detriment or whatever. Some of them are just not. So I just wanted to explain that. If you're doing your own chart and you're like, oh, but this one doesn't have anything. So what's that mean? It just means that you've got neutral ground to work with.
Yep, that whatever sign that is in that house, you are taking all aspects of that in that house. So yeah, there are 12 houses that represent different areas of your life, such as your personality, relationships, your career, and spirituality. Each house is ruled by a zodiac sign, which is how your chart is laid out, and planets in those houses influence how you experience the themes of that house. I'm not going to get too in depth with this, but if you do have any questions, I will be more than willing to answer them, just so it gives what's the word I'm looking for? An idea of how it should be read. So the first house is the self, which is your ascendant sign, again, opposite of your sun sign, that deals with your identity, your physical appearance, your first impressions, and your self-expression. And it defines how your outward personality and how others perceive you. So planets here have strongly shaped your self-image and your approach to life. I will use Virgo as an example of an ascendant. Virgo ascendants are perfectionists. Your approach to life is perfectionism. Everything has to be in the right slot, divided perfectly in the column that is the same fucking size. It has to be a perfect square, a 4x4, a 5x5, whatever. If it's not how you want it, then it's not something that you want to deal with. So others perceive you as a perfectionist because you always want to have the best of something. Yes, I am speaking from experience because my ascendant sign is a Virgo. So then you've got your second house, which represents your resources and your values. So that's money, possessions, self-worth, personal values. It reveals how you earn and spend and feel about material and emotional security. So if you've got your Taurus in your second house, baby, you love money. You love expensive stuff. You want all the bits and bobs in your kitchen, and you want that aesthetically pleasing backdrop in your kitchen. You want to live lavishly. You want that to be your life. If you are not living with the finest things, then you are simply not living at all. And they're secure. They're secure with their money. They make good spending habits, which is why they are able to afford all of those luxury things that they so want to buy all the time. And I'm kind of jealous about it because I wish that was me. You've got your third house, which is communication and learning. Communication, siblings, short trips, early education, local environment. It reflects your thinking and your speaking style, your relationships with your siblings, and your curiosity. So, just a reminder, or not a reminder, but like a tidbit, if you know the key words to each planet and each sign that rules that planet, you can literally take that and apply it to your house. So let's say, okay, communication and learning. Well, let's take Leo, ego, individuality, confidence. How does that affect your communication? You think you know everything, and you do not. You think that you can tell everybody what to do, and you don't. You talk about yourself a lot, and you shouldn't. And that's all about learning where your houses and your planets are. So then you've got...
Mine's in Sagittarius, and it's just as bad. Trust.
Oh. Well, at least with Sagittarius, it's like, well, I like helping my friends do better, and I like helping my friends see the bigger picture, and I like helping my friends have the best luck that they could.
But I also tend to think very, speak first, think later.
Yeah, don't do that.
Sagittarius is really good at just doing spontaneity, which means you talk first and then think about how you talk later.
And you're just very, very curious about everything. You've got the fourth house, which is your home and family, your roots, emotional foundation, and ancestry. It represents your private self, your upbringing, and where you feel the most secure. So if you've got a Cancer in your fourth house, that means you love your family. You feel most secure with your family. You want to make sure that everyone is emotionally available and ready to talk about their emotions, so you can keep the harmony in your household, fix the habits, implement a system where everything is okay. We're all emotionally regulated now. Cool. Fifth house is creativity and pleasure, romance, fun, children's, hobbies, self-expression. Shows how you experience joy, love, and creative pursuits. If you have an Aquarius in that house, you like to work alone. And you like to work alone because you have a very out-of-the-box way of thinking that not most people who don't share that same sign in that house with you would understand. It makes sense to you, therefore you don't want to try to explain it to other people. You want it to just be done. And that's why they would prefer to work by themselves, because they have their way of thinking. They don't want to, They don't want to conform. They want to just do. They want to do things on their own. They want to create how they create on their own. And it would be too much of a hassle to try to explain their very crazy, eccentric thought process to somebody else who might not understand, because then they feel bad because they think that they're saying it the best way that they can, and they are not. So, yeah, creatively, Aquariuses would prefer to work by themselves. Your sixth house is your health and routine, daily work, health, habits, service, responsibility. It highlights your approach to work, self-care, and day-to-day responsibilities. What is that sign in your chart?
Me?
Yes.
6th house?
Yes.
Pisces.
Okay. So, you
And I don't have any planets in that one, so.
that's fine. Pisces, you're very creative in the way that you do your routines. You're very you have this vision here, but it's also like sometimes they can be a little unrealistic. So you're like, okay, let me reel that back in because obviously it would make sense to me, but it would not work for other people. So if I'm trying to do something that's streamlined that could possibly be one size fits all, that's definitely not the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm not a one-size-fits-all person. Absolutely not. Don't try and copy anything I do because it is ass backwards and makes me happy.
That's a very, if it works for me, then it works for me. And if it's not broke, then I'm not gonna fix it. If I have to make a chart every single day and I gotta color it in with fancy letters and fancy pictures so it makes more sense to me, then I'm gonna do it.
I'm so called out. She's stabbing me right where it hurts. I literally have charts on my wall. Like, you can see them right here. Don't look at them. I feel so exposed.
Health and routine is the 6th house. Oh, I said that already. 7th house, relationships. This is also your descendant sign. I haven't done too much on descendants in midhavens because they do matter, but they're more, it's the house. Whatever the descendant and the rising and the midheaven, those are all that sign of that house. That is the sign of that house. And if you don't have anything, like if you don't have any planets or you don't have any signs in that house, whatever sign is in that planet, like the little pie crust, then that's what that sign is.
You have every house in your chart. It just depends on if there is a planet inside that house, if that planet matters. However, if there's nothing in there, then the house is all that matters and what it is ruled by.
Yep.
Like, I don't have anything in the 7th house. I have no planets there. So my house is ruled by Aries because that is what it's represented in the chart.
Yep. So that's marriage, one-on-one relationships, contract, how you connect with others in close relationships, and the qualities you seek in a partner. You like someone who's passionate. You like someone who's fiery. You like someone that can take the initiative, but, you know, a temper's a little sexy. However, if you don't dial it back sometimes, then it's like, okay, you're at a 10. I need you at a 2. Sexy, but I need you at a 2.
I can appreciate that my husband fits all aspects of this except for having absolutely no fucking temper at all.
I love that for him.
Man is unbothered to an extreme level that it pisses me off.
Damn, I wish that was me. But that's how you take initiative. You have a little temper, and so you gotta simmer it down a little bit. But it's more of like, I have said this thing, I have laid down this thing. What I said is law. You are intruding upon it, and I don't like that, so now I'm gonna throw hands with you.
Yeah.
And then we've got the 8th house, which is transformation and shared resources, which I want to say is...
It's like how you give... I feel like it's how you give to your deepest bonds, like your found family, your friendships. Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Like, it's transformation, intimacy, rebirth, shared finances, inheritance, like deep bonds, personal growth, and handling like the end of something. So transformation is just change. Everything is just change. Say you've got Aquarius in that house. How do you deal with change? You are independent. You look within yourself to figure out what kind of change is a part of you. Whereas if you've got a Cancer in that house, you focus more on the emotional aspects of your personal growth, the emotional aspect of your deep bonds, and the emotional aspect of how you grieve. all of the signs have something that they focus the most on, and it's very easy to apply those things to the house for a more like streamlined reading that makes the most sense. And then we've got the 9th house, which is exploration and philosophy, higher learning, travel, philosophy, belief, spirituality, and law. It shows how you seek meaning, expanding your horizons, and how you connect with different cultures and different ideas. So if you've got maybe a Jupiter or a Sagittarius in that house, then you want to go all around the world. You want to learn about all different types of cultures. You want to be able to learn about it and see if that is something that you could possibly expand upon, but not necessarily because you're like, okay, well then if they did things like this, then maybe it would be better, but it's not my place to intrude on a culture that I am not a part of. However, that's not to say that I can't try to make it better, or not make it better, but that's not saying that I can't like try to improve on aspects that are normally morally wrong, or
or making it in an aspect of making it better for yourself.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be better overall all the time, but it could be just making it better to suit you.
10th house is your career and your public life. It represents your reputation, your achievements, your public images, your authority figures, ambitions, legacy, and how you're viewed in the public sphere. So what's your sign in that?
Hi, Leo. Technically it's ruled by my Citron, who's in there. My Citron is in my 10th house. It's ruled by Cancer. So it's a little yeah, it's ruled by Cancer, but my Leo is also in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah. That's why I just started laughing, because it's bad.
But like, when you've got something in there, it's like, okay, I guess I should also touch on how planets also affect that sort of thing. But again, it just comes with the part of the zodiac sign. I have a cool little book here that I would recommend to everyone, and it is the Lewin's Complete Book of Astrology, and this is where I got most of my notes from. It breaks down every sign in every house and every planet in every house, and it is very, very nice.
And this is specifically for Western astrology, of course. There are many different types of astrology, so take the title very with a grain of salt. But it's a great starting book to just get the foundation so you can learn other things about astrology later.
Yep.
I highly recommend it as a great reference book.
But
I also have it actually right here.
It's a
you can't see it, but I have it.
But it represents your ambitions, your legacy, again, how you're viewed in the public sphere. So Leo, people look at you like, oh, you got a little ego on you, huh? Oh, you're very confident. Oh, look at you, you're nonconformist. Cancer, wow, that's really an emotional person, but they have really good habits. Love that for them.
They find me emotional. Boo boo.
Gemini and Virgo, communication. Oh, that person communicates very well. Oh, this person thinks well, and so on and so forth. Like, if you know the keywords of the planets and the signs that rule them, again, it's very easy to place, like, put a meaning behind the houses and the planets. The 11th house is your community and your aspirations. It represents your friendships, groups, social causes, your hopes and your dreams, reflects your relationship with communities, teamwork, and long-term goals. Again, I will use Aquarius as an example. If you've got an Aquarius in that house, you want to work alone. You want to work by yourself. Is it ideal? No.
I want to be the center of attention because I'm Leo. That house is ruled by Leo for me.
Then, yeah, basically, I want people to acknowledge me. And if they don't acknowledge me, then how the fuck am I supposed to work in a team with them when they're not bothering to listen to me? It's less of an ego and more of wanting to be perceived. Why would I would
go.
You?
I would 100% go with that because I don't care about like necessarily my thought process being taken, because my thought process is very creative and sometimes it's not going to work for you, and I totally understand that. So, but I just want to be like acknowledged, just be like, yeah, okay, I get you. And then that'd be the end of it.
Yep. And then we've got the 12th house, which is spirituality and subconscious. Solitude, spirituality, hidden strengths, fears, endings, and healings. It governs your inner world, intuition, your connection to the unseen, as well as subconscious patterns. So I'm actually going to use Capricorn for this kind of thing, or Saturn, because they both kind of have the same meaning. So it's like, okay, well, Capricorn focuses on like restriction, responsibility, and life lessons, just being the adult of adults. So I fear that I might not be putting down enough boundaries for this. I feel like I'm scared that someone's gonna bridge my boundaries and they're gonna pop into my bubble, and I don't like that. But that also means that gives you the opportunity to reinforce those beliefs, reinforce that boundary, and make sure that people understand, do not cross this line because I'm not playing with you. Or we can say Scorpio and Pluto. I fear that I might never change. If I don't ever change and I don't ever heal, then I can't expect to be the best version of myself. And this is where solitude comes in. It's like, okay, what would I have to do if I'm alone? I would have to work on being the best version of myself. I know that I have the ability to be the best version of myself, but what if I'm not? What if I'm not that way? What if this all is just for nothing and I never heal from that? And that's when you're like, okay, well, maybe I should probably sit down and actually shadow work and think about it so I understand, hey, it's not always like that. Everything is not all bad. It may seem like that, but if you learn how to work through it, then I promise you that not everything is all bad. Astrology. I actually did most to actually do more examples, but that would have taken a lot of time. So I just explained the basis of each.
And you managed to talk for 1 hour and 7 minutes. Yeah, that would have been a lot longer of an episode if we would have had a lot of examples. However, I did my chart alongside of it, so it was easy to throw out some examples for you. Because I have a question now. Okay, let's say my Venus is in Virgo, and my Virgo, the Venus, is in Virgo. And then it's also ruled, the 12th house is ruled by Virgo.
Your 12th house is ruled by Virgo and Venus. You are scared of love.
Oh.
You're afraid of love. And it's like, you need it. You need the love to heal. You need the love to uncover your hidden strength. But you are like, love. But love is part of you. Learning to love yourself, learning to have love within your spirituality and your beliefs, and using love to help find more aspects of yourself.
I literally, when people say that they love me, like, who isn't my husband, and even then, I'm still, like, physical affection kind of grosses me out sometimes. And my husband's very physically affectionate, the irony of that. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Your powers of attraction are very good, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. People want to love me, and I ruin it. I self-sabotage 90% of the time. Because if they give me bad attitude, I'm gonna give it back immediately.
So,
the problem is I'm a reflector, and so I reflect energy to a fault. When the bad is bad, it's bad. It's all bad all around. But when the good is good, it's good. Homie, it's good. I hope this cat does not show his butthole on this camera right now.
So Virgo and Venus is a fall sign.
Oh yeah, that's the I had that written down.
Struggle. It's a big struggle of communication, a struggle of love, a struggle of thinking about, love and communication and my powers of attraction. So that's just something that you could work on to be able to, you know, receive love and get the communication that you so desire, rather than just
boo boo. Yeah, that's
but
why I was. That's a good example. I wanted to see a good example, and I thought that one was a great one, because just fuck me, I guess. There's a lot in my chart is that just, oh, you poor girl.
and that's kind of going to be the case for most people in the chart, because there's never going to be a perfect birth chart. Nobody is perfect. Everyone has their strengths and everyone has their flaws. So you
Like
might
I said,
have more strengths and flaws, but you at the end of the day still have flaws.
And I also wanted to say that I have 1 fall and 2 detriments, but I also have 2 rulers. My Scorpio is home in Mars, and my Aquarius is home in Saturn. So I have things that I'm excel at and I'm really good at, and then some things that clearly I need to work on.
And that is just how people operate. So hooray for astrology. That is going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys learned something. And if you have any questions, make sure you comment on them. If you want me to read your birth chart, I will absolutely do so. Or if you have any questions about certain houses or certain planets or certain, you know, rulerships in certain planets, feel free to ask. I will answer to everybody as much as I can. And hopefully I can give you more insight about your personality from your birth chart.
Yes, don't ask me because I don't know nothing yet. I barely just learned my own right now. Thank you. And I'm exposed.
Yay.
I'm raw and exposed. Poo-poo. So thank you for teaching that class. This is obviously not a witchcraft one. This is spiritual. Anybody can use this. Please enjoy this, but you can also use this to influence your magic. And do magic that would, like, if you work with your ruler signs, obviously the magic is going to be stronger. Food for thought, and we'll see you next time, right? I guess.
Yeah.
What are we doing next time?
We're doing a tarot episode.
Oh yeah, we're doing tarot next episode. We're going to do beginner tarot 101. We're going to just start with how to read basic cards, and we'll talk about all of the little details, like how if Wands is weeks, I believe. I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere.
Yeah, I think Wands is summer. Oh.
Summer and weeks, I believe.
I cannot
we'll
remember
talk
off
about
the top
those
of my head. Yeah.
I can't either. That's the unfortunate part.
I like your funny pictures, Magic Man.
They're all... We've got some cards out here as well. I got some Major Arcana. What happened? Like, we'll talk about what it means if Major Arcana isn't in your reading, and what it means when it is. It means when it is, you're more in tune with your higher self. When it isn't, you have to be in tune with your higher self. So, and then we'll little tidbits that you can learn. I'll talk about how I originally learned how to read cards. Is actually like a movie playlist, movie scenes, and I would take, like, this dude, he's looking out into the open world and daydreaming about something. He's clearly putting some kind of work into this, and then you would take the next card and read the next scene of the movie.
Which is a very good way to read cards, I might add. I don't do that, but I think it's a very, very nice and great way to read cards.
And it adds an extra element for when you later learn all of the key details, because you can also still apply those movie scenes to the cards and their meanings. Like, this card means planning. So this guy is looking out into the world to discover, oh, goodness me. It means planning, progress, making decisions. Maybe he's planning to leave home. There you go. That's why he's looking out into the scene of the world. The scenes, you'll get it once you start reading a little bit more like that. It's not, I don't read like this anymore. I use the key elements, but it still influences the way that I'll read it, whole reading overall, and how it's going to play into your life.
So look forward to that. Woohoo! Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so you know when we are uploading more videos. Thank you to everybody who continues to watch our videos. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. We appreciate you supporting
every single one. We've got big plans for the next month. I'm very excited to see you guys again, especially because we were out for like 2 weeks because of my computer, and I missed you guys. I missed recording, and I missed doing all this. So
but we still had things to upload, so that's cool. January is a planning month, and we're starting fresh because it's a new year. So,
Yeah.
look forward to that.
Very excited. Very excited.
So with that, may all of your manifestations and affirmations come to fruition. Please practice wisely and stay safe.
Stay mystical.
Bye,
Mwah.
everybody.
Bye.
It governs how you
Hold up.
think. Oh my god.
No, it's Apollo stuck on his thingy. Hello, we have a guest. Oh.
Apollo, please.
Apollo, please. Fine, Apolitos. No Apolitos today. He wants to hang
Womp.
out. Boo womp for real.